Hey, 1973 podcast fans. This is Dan Lacroix. Just wanted to say hi. Wanted to say thank you to 1973 podcast for the great jersey they sent me and for having me on their show. You can find their show on YouTube, and they have a lot of great guests. Had a lot of fun doing the show with them. Great guys, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So thanks again for having me. Hope the fans enjoy their show, and best wishes.
First time it was on Friday night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special face-off episode of the 1973 podcast. I'm so happy to be joined on this Friday night by two friends of the show, André Lacroix and George Pesut, and we're going to talk road stories. We're going to talk old-time hockey, as the kids say, and we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to get Derek started because he's been chomping at the bit to get into the nitty-gritty of some old-time hockey. Derek, take it away.
Well, not just any old-time hockey, right, Andy? The WHA, the World Hockey Association, established in 1972. I read a great quote, fellas. It said, in the NHL, the owners passed out the checks to the players, and the WHA, the owners drink beers with the players. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, George, I was on before. We've had George as a guest. Andre, I have not been on with you. This is an honor and a pleasure. You are not only inaugural WHA Hall of Famer and all-time leading scorer in the WHA, and you had 100 assists in one season and 106 to be accurate in the WHA. And so you were kind of the first WHA established superstar. Does that make sense? Like, you were the guy that you were there for 7 years, and you 600-point seasons, and you were definitely an established superstar in WHA.
Well, the WHA gave me a chance to play my game.
Yeah.
When I went to Chicago, that was the worst. Even when I got traded, I didn't think it was the right trade for me, because I knew Chicago wanted me to play with Bobby. That's why they got me.
Oh.
But Bobby and I had two different styles of hockey. We couldn't play together, basically, because everybody I played with in pro hockey, in the WHA anyway, both my wingers, they all had at least 30 goals, because I used both wingers. With Bobby, if you didn't use Bobby, the fans would boo you out of the building. Okay, so the other teams that played us, they used to say, "Don't watch Bobby, just watch Lacroix," because you know he's going to feed him. Because Chico Mackey was our winger, and Chico was a defensive player. He couldn't care less if he scored a goal. And the Blackhawks, the only thing they were interested in would get 20,000 people a game. The only interest they had was for Tony to get a shutout, and Bobby score 50 goals, and Stan maybe win the scoring title. They could care less about anything else. To be honest with you, I never thought for 1 second that Billy Ray was a good coach. Not because of the way he used me. It's just because with the team, Chicago came in with the expansion of the NHL, with the teams from the expansion. So by Christmas, they knew they were going to finish in first place. So there was no pressure, basically. So I didn't enjoy my time in Chicago. And when I got an offer during the season, when the WHA was going to start, I got a call from a lawyer from Philadelphia. He says, "André," he said, "I saw you play with the Flyers for 3 years." He said, "We got a franchise in Philadelphia." He said, "I have no idea how much you're making, but," he said, "I'll double your salary and give you a 5-year deal." I said, "I'm gone."
Nice.
At the time, I was making $34,000 a year for the Flyers. That was a contract from the Flyers, my last year. And then Chicago heard, so Chicago tried to offer me a contract, and I knew they were going to trade me. There was no way in the world I was going to sign with Chicago anyway. So the one thing that was good in a way for me, because the first year in the league, I led the league in scoring, but also I had so many good clauses in my contract. And one of them was that if the team gets sold, if we change coach, whatever they did, I became a free agent. So I ended up playing on a lot of teams, but I never got traded.
Yeah.
So when they said I got traded for Ronnie Ward, that was a bunch of crap because I was a free agent. So every year I got a raise because I went to a different team. I had good season, but I'm the worst real estate guy in hockey because I bought a house every place I played, but I wasn't there long enough.
Yeah.
I lost money on every house I bought.
Can you tell us about that? So you signed with the Blazers. Can you tell us about that first home game, the New England Whalers versus the Philadelphia Blazers, and what partook that night? Is the stuff of WHA legends.
With the ice?
Yes.
Yeah, what happened was, everybody was excited about playing the first game, and then they gave everybody, all the fans, an orange puck as a souvenir to come to the game. And then Derek was our spokesperson, Derek Sanderson. So when we found out that the game was not going to be played, Derek made the mistake to go and take the mic at center ice and apologize to the fans, and the fans were throwing pucks at him in Philadelphia. And then Derek had leased a Rolls Royce, and the Rolls Royce, the rink in Philadelphia was in the worst neighborhood you can find, and the Rolls Royce was parked right on the side of the building. And after the game, he got to his car. There was a big scratch on the door.
Yeah. Yep. So George, so it's funny, Andre, you talk about, I had written down money, style of play, ice time, the reason to go from the NHL to WHA. You kind of checked all those boxes. And so George, what was your draw going to Calgary after playing with Oakland?
For me, well, I can say I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
They were asking me a question, Andre.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Andre might know Harvey Weinberg. It was Hull's agent in Chicago. So basically it was like, get me the best contract, NHL versus WHA. And I always had a one-way deal. It was pretty lucky. Even coming out of junior and signing, mind you, I was supposed to be the big bonus baby and all that. So it was a two-way, one-way contract. And I was in Oakland all summer. And that's when Oakland jumped over to Cleveland, which wasn't the greatest place in the world. And they didn't last too long there, except I don't know if Andre knows Joe Crozier very well, but Joe was, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe the guy. I mean, he knew his hockey, but yeah, he couldn't talk to a fence post, So our relationship didn't start off too well. I mean, I was flying in training camp. I could always skate. I was pretty offensive defenseman, but it's the real honest to God truth. I had a fight with Peter Driscoll. He was kind of a tough, I wouldn't call him that a tough guy, but he didn't have much confidence. He got a stick in my face. So we dropped it and had a fight, and no big deal. And I went back to the hotel and my eyes all swollen up. We got a game next night against San Diego, and we had bubblegum pictures, our pictures that afternoon. So I decided to ice myself up to be ready for the game and didn't show up for the bubblegum pictures. And I was flying at that time, playing some of my best hockey. But Crow sat me in the press box for 6 games because I didn't take part in the bubblegum picture. I went to the dressing room the next day, and our trainer, Bearcat Murray, I said, why is my jersey not up? And he said, you're not dressed tonight. And then he told me the reason. I said, you got to be kidding me. But Crow and I had this feud going, like I was like a human yo-yo, and I was always called his secret weapon, to call up from the farm team and play the power play. And, I could tell you, Joe Crozier's stories till the cows came home,
Yep. As in your book, you have the chapter WHA and Joe the Crow. So.
Well, I'll tell you real quickly. Like the first time I get called up, so we get sent. I get sent down to Virginia Beach, Virginia. I go, you got to be kidding me. There's a hockey team down here. That's our farm team. So when the guys first got sent down there after training camp, they didn't have ice for 2 weeks, and there was some mess up at the arena, like André just alluded to, and the Haldane Ice Girls were there ready to do a show. So for 2 weeks, the team's there with the Haldane Ice Girls, and it was just a gong show. So when I came back, I had a picture of a human pyramid of the guys and the Haldane Ice Girls on the beach in Virginia Beach, and I'm showing it to the guys in the dressing room, and everybody's crowding around there till finally Crow walked in the dressing room and wanted to see what was going on there. So I don't think he was too impressed,
There it is, folks. You can see it. There's the
Oh,
human
wow.
pyramid.
There they are.
Picture from the book.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's great.
That's the stuff legends are made of right there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
André, I don't know if you want to share or elaborate for George being on the show about the what you had mentioned about when you were groomed, let's just say, to go to New York for to be the first male model, I'll put in quotes, for a Penthouse men's magazine. What
happened? Yeah, what happened was that my wife came. I got a call from the owner, and he said, "Some people want to meet you. I want you to come to New York." I said, "Okay." So I take my wife to New York. I get in the lobby, and I see these 3 gorgeous girls there in the lobby. And the owner said, "Well, they want to take you out to lunch." He says, "The secretary will take your wife to lunch." I said, "That sounds good to me." So we go to lunch, and the girls start to tell me, they said, we started a new magazine called Viva. And Viva was going to compete with Playboy. Playboy was for the girls, and Viva was going to be for the boys. So what they were trying to do is they were trying to get guys centerfold, boys center in the shower, and all kinds of stuff, So I let them talk, and they said, we'll send a limo, pick you up, take all the pictures. And I said, well, I'm really not interested. And they said, why not? I said, well, first of all, I'm the youngest of 14 kids, 7 boys, 7 girls. I have a brother who's a priest that I really love. And I don't think my parents, my brother, and all my fans would appreciate me getting into a magazine, that in the news. And I said, to be honest with you, if you ask Derek Sanderson, Derek will do it in a second. They said, we don't want Derek, we want you. But I said, you're not going to get me. I'm not going to do it. I said, if you notice, I didn't even ask you if you were paying for this or not. But I said, doesn't matter what you would offer me, I would do it. And they were not offering any money. They just said, well, you're going to get a lot of publicity. I said, I don't need that kind of publicity, So we had a nice lunch. And I don't know what they did. I was going to be in their second edition. They had a boxer being in the first edition, and I was going to be in the second edition, and I turned them down. I said, I wouldn't want a kid not wanting my autograph because his father saw my picture in a magazine. I said, I wouldn't want that. No. That's not the way.
Fair enough, right?
That's not the way I was raised.
Yeah.
I
do agree.
I guess they did the Slapshot movie. Remember when the guy stripped at the end?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that took the place maybe of,
Yeah.
The Ned Braden striptease. Yep. There you go. Yep.
There are a lot of good things that happen. I'll tell you, the WHA, it's a shame that the NHL never really appreciated what the WHA has done for the NHL.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because I really believe that when the WHA folded and joined the NHL, if the NHL didn't work a deal, the WHA would have stayed in the league. They would have continued with 6 or 8 teams, no doubt in my mind, because all the markets that they had were markets they wish they had. Listen, when I played for San Diego, Ray Kroc was my owner. He was in 1974. Ray Kroc was worth $500 million. He owned McDonald's.
Yeah.
And when I signed my contract with Ray Kroc, it's the last contract I signed. Buzzy Bavisi called me, and in those days, I had a lawyer, but I was my own agent. I represented myself. And Buzzy said to me, he said, I want you, I was living in Philadelphia. He said, I want you to come to San Diego. He said, I want to make you an offer. I said, you'll be able to refuse. I said, okay. So I fly to San Diego and I flew first class. I said, they're paying for it. So as soon as I got there, I gave them the receipt to the secretary to make sure I got my money in case we don't work a deal. And I ended up signing a contract, a personal contract with Lacroix in 1974 for 6 years at $175,000 a year. That was a lot of money then. And I had the biggest part of it was I had his personal guarantee. And after Lacroix didn't like hockey, he did it for his daughter. His daughter loves hockey. That's the only reason. And then at the end of the year, I bought a house, but he didn't like hockey. That's when the team moved. Okay. My lawyer got a call from his lawyer saying, we understand Mr. Lacroix has a personal guarantee and Mr. Clark will respect that guarantee. But he couldn't tell me where to go play. I had to go where I want to play. And Ray Clark never had to come up with the money, a penny, because the other teams always paid for my salary.
When you played with San Diego, you played with Harry Howell. Well, what was that like? I mean, he was 41 at the time. You know, that's just amazing that when I was reading that, you know, Harry Howell was on the San Diego Mariners. So,
yeah, I mean, let's face it, you know, you look at the NHL today, the stars that they had, they all came from the WHA.
Yeah.
Messier, Gretzky, all these guys, they all came from the WHA.
Yep.
So, but they don't talk about it, you know. And there's no doubt in my mind that the NHL has blackballed anybody that joined the WHA, even to this day, to be honest with you. It would be very hard for somebody that played in the WHA to either have a management job or a coaching job in the NHL.
George, did you have any veterans that NHL veterans that you played with in Calgary in the WHA?
No, veterans?
I'm sure André knows Smokey McLeod. I mean, Smokey
yes.
was
Yeah,
a hell of a goaltender with that curved stick is. I remember
great goalie.
very first practice, like I'm going in to get the puck and the puck's flying over my head because Smokey could wrist it from one end to the other. And it's great for a defenseman. You love a goalie can handle the puck. And Smokey was, you know, he was incredible. There's Danny Lawson. I'm sure everybody knows Danny Lawson. Danny, I mean, this is a real funny one. We played our first exhibition game against the Jets because the Cowboys used to be the Vancouver Blazers, so they're obligated to play this game. And Danny had scored, I think, 60 the one year in the WHA. But you know how the sports reporters are. So I'm reading the Vancouver paper, and the Vancouver press guys go, well, yeah, we really loved Danny Lawson when he was here with the Blazers and everything. And to honor him, we're gonna name a street after him, Danny Lawson Boulevard.
Oh,
but
did
it's gonna be a one-way street, you know, because Danny he didn't play too much defense. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I kind of got a laugh out of that. In fact, that's a funny one because we beat the Jets 6-0, right? So they're the WHA champs the year before, and I mean we killed them. They don't have a chance. 6-0 shutout, and we've been training for a couple of weeks, 2-day practices. We figured we're going to get at least a day off. We got to the airport in Calgary, and Crow says we're going right to the practice rink, because he spotted some deficiencies in our game. I go, what the fuck, 6-0, Crow. And then, but the craziest one is that practice, we did 3-0s for 2 hours. We had half the team on one end, half the other, and the goalies are going crazy because the million passes. And then you go to yourself, what are you accomplishing doing 3-0s but that was the Crow, he was a semi-madman. That's the way I describe him.
André, he sounds a little bit like he was the WHA version of Mike Keenan.
Versus who?
He sounds
Joe
like he was a little
Crozier.
bit like Mike Keenan was Joe the Crow.
Well, you know, I wanted to say something about George was talking about Danny Lawson before. You know, Danny Lawson's probably the best right winger I ever played with. Because he wasn't known, like George said, George 100% right. He wasn't known for his defensive play. And Markov was the best left winger I ever played with, to be honest with you. Because the one thing with Danny Lawson, nobody knew the way he could skate like hell, man, I tell you. Okay, and he knew to open up. He knew I would give him the puck. And I think he scored 70-some goals when I played with him in Philadelphia. It makes a big difference, to be honest with you. You know.
All right, I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm going to start off by saying this. So I plugged I plugged this into Chat GPT, and it said to me, and this is a direct quote, if you have the honor to interview these two gentlemen at the same time, these are the 24 questions that I'd ask them. So I'm not going to go through all 24 by any means of imagination, but I just want to let you guys know that if you have when AI says if you have the honor to interview these two gentlemen at the same time, that you guys, it's pretty awesome to have you guys on. So thank you so much. So I'm going to say what team, George, I'm going to start with you first. What teammate had the biggest impact in your career? And then André, I'm going to ask the same question after you, George goes.
No problem.
You're asking me first?
Yes, sir.
And what team had the biggest impact?
What teammate had the biggest impact on you throughout your career?
Oh boy, well, I mean, after my first year, which was kind of a write-off, and I made the Flyers, they had won the Stanley Cup. So I was the only rookie to make the opening roster, but sat around till November. Probably the Flyers, I would say. Yeah.
André?
Broad Street Bullies.
But I have to say the Flyers. And the reason I say the Flyers because I came up at the end of the season and I had a tough decision to make because I was playing with the Quebec Aces at the time in the American Hockey League. And then I was leading the league in scoring by about 30 points, I think, when I went to the Flyers. I had 6 hat-tricks that season to tie a record. I had a chance to beat the record for the hat-trick. My first game with the Flyers was in Pittsburgh. And I scored my first goal in the NHL on my first game again in Pittsburgh. We tied the game 1-1. Then we go back to Philadelphia the next night, and Leon Rosefort was my right winger. He scored 3 goals. I have 1 goal, 3 assists. And then after the game, I'm ready to go back to Quebec to finish the season there. And Bud Poyle said, "You make the decision. You stay or you go." And I said, and sure, I could have set up a lot of records, but as a hockey player, there's no place like the NHL. You want to play in the NHL. You don't want to play in the minors. And I don't have any regret, but the Flyers gave me the opportunity to pursue a career that everybody's been telling me from the time I played midget hockey, I'll never make it because I was 5'8", 165 pounds, and said, "You'll never make it." And I got a chance to prove that I could make it.
I'm going to jump in right here and ask, I love you guys a lot for coming on, friends of the show, the whole thing. Now, as far as female fans, let's get to the nitty gritty. Who had the better female fans, the NHL or the WHA?
I would say the NHL because the NHL drew a lot more people than the WHA. You had more choices in the NHL.
No, Andy, are you talking about normal fans or are you talking about the...
No, you know what he's talking about.
What do you think?
The other thing I just, like André mentioned about Philly is I was there a month before training camp skating with the guys. And to me, they were a real class organization too, the Flyers. When I got traded for Reggie there, I was in the hotel for 4 months and they paid which they didn't have to, all my hotel, all my incidentals and everything. I remember Joe Cadillac. I don't know if he was there when André was there, but
great guy.
Yeah, super guy,
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
And
André,
excuse me, you don't have many owners against Snyder either.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Quebec Aces because they became the Richmond Robins.
Yeah.
So you probably like Serge Largeness, André Paillet, the Roger the Hammer Peltier. I don't know if they were there when you were playing. They might have been young, just drafted, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andre, did you ever have to wear the white skates for the Knights or the Golden Blades?
I'll tell you what, that was awful. Because first of all, they were brown skate. We had to put shellac on them every game. Because during the game, the puck would hit the skate and it would be marked and everything else. They became so heavy. I was slow to start with, and that didn't help, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I had asked George before we came on because he played for the Seals, if he had worn them. I thought you guys might have had some good white skate stories together, but he was lucky enough that he didn't have to wear those.
But
Andre,
I did.
Oh,
but the Seals, like the same thing Andre said. I know that they had to keep painting them, and each time they kept painting them, they got heavier and heavier.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Yeah, the guys didn't like them too much.
One more thing that happened with the white skate is before they paint my skate, Lang used to make skates.
Yep.
And they came and they offered me they gave me a pair of white skates. And I didn't want to wear Lang because it was the plastic skates. And I played center, and you could hear all the noise when you skate. So the people would know where I was all the time. And that's why I didn't want to wear them. I said, I'll try them. I tried them in practice, but I would never wear them in the game.
Nice. Andre, did you ever play at the rink in Cherry Hill, New Jersey?
Pardon me?
Did you ever play at the rink, the barn in Cherry Hill, New Jersey?
Probably the worst rink in the history of hockey.
Love it.
It's not there anymore, I heard.
Yeah.
Okay. At center ice, there was a dip at the red line. The guys shoot the puck down. When you get to the red line, the puck would jump over. I mean, it was so bad, And the best thing is when we played there, let's see, Houston was coming in, and you could see Gordy and the rest of the Houston area coming out of a school bus because they had to dress at the hotel. They had to get dressed at the hotel. There was no room to take showers there.
Oh.
I mean, talking about bad rink, It was awful.
Did you crash any weddings at the hotel after games?
No. But we basically, most people live in West Orange because we moved there from New York. Yeah. So we had to bus to every home game.
Oh, wow.
And bus back to New York after the game. Those were our home games.
Yeah. George, any good old barn stories for you? Did you play in the Cow Palace in the WHA?
I never played. I don't think I played at Cow Palace, but I've seen Cow Palace. That was a palace compared to New Jersey.
Yeah. George, was the Cow Palace NHL for you or WHA?
Right, yeah, I played in the Cow Palace. It was I guess you'd say an older building, but there were a lot of old buildings back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any good stories for a WHA barn that you were in while with Calgary?
I'm sure Andre knows the whole dope on Rick Jazio, when he did Tardif, and I played the next year in the first game back in Quebec City, and there was all the lawsuits. So Nordiques had 5 of their goons every time Jazio was on the ice, and he wasn't allowed to fight because there were still lawsuits going on, everything. And Smokey McLeod told me the year before he had to swing his goal stick out just to get Jazio off the ice into the dressing room because it was like a mob scene, and that wasn't a pretty game. But then the funniest one is like Joe the Crow got this idea to save money. We got instead of a normal airline, we were on a F-225 Fairchild charter plane, the same one that the guys went down in the Andes, in that book Alive. Anyway, so we're flying from Quebec City to Winnipeg to play in the afternoon. It's a blinding snowstorm. I used to always like to sit with the pilots. I remember I knocked the automatic pilot off, and Crow went flying off his seat and hit his head down in the plane. I thought that might knock some sense into him, but we got into Calgary. I mean, we got into Winnipeg at like 7 a.m. We flew all night. This thing had a top speed of like 225 miles an hour, and then we had to play the Jets at 2 o'clock. It's. But that game in Quebec City, you could have cut the air with a knife because of all the stuff that was going on there. And Josio, as I wrote in my book, he didn't have an honor system like what he did to Tardif, but then he did the same thing to Paul Stewart when I was playing on the farm team. And Paul Stewart is a pretty tough guy, but he just basically took a stick and sloshed him across the face for 63 stitches. So, yeah.
George, Paul Stewart used to put Vaseline in his face before the game. Because he was fighting all the time. See, when you punch him, it just went by,
Yeah. Well, Bobby Gassoff used to, in junior, put the tape wrap when he knew trouble was coming. The trainer would just start taping him up his hands,
Yeah.
So I'll ask you about a player. You'll know him for sure, Andre. Kim Claxton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was a tough guy.
He was one of the toughest guy, I think, in the league. He was probably 5'9", 5'10" at the most.
Yeah, 185, 5'9", 5'10".
And he had like this baby face,
Yeah.
And even if you hit him, it didn't matter if you didn't know if he was hurt or not because his face was always red, like the baby face type, But talk about tough. He would fight anybody.
Frank told me he was the toughest guy. I know him. He's from Saskatoon. We're friends, and you could hit him with a 2x4. It wouldn't matter, yeah.
I've seen him a couple times, late in the past few years. He hasn't changed much.
The funniest story I know about Clocker is he's playing for Indianapolis, and they're playing the Cincinnati Stingers, and they had this bee, I guess, as a mascot. So the bee would skate around the ice before the game started, and he skated around a couple of times, and the teams were on the ice, and Clocker told the bee to go fuck off. He's not supposed to skate on his side, and the bee didn't listen. So Kimmer ran him from one side to the other and knocked the bee unconscious. And they're playing in Cincinnati. The fans are just pelting shit down on the ice on them. So Goldie Goldthorpe is playing for Cincinnati.
Oh my gosh.
And Goldie challenged, because he figures this isn't right, so he challenges Kim to a fight. Kim beats the living shit out of him. And then they're in the penalty box together, and Kim's sitting there, and Goldie takes, Andre probably knows about Goldie.
I played with Goldie.
Oh, yeah. So Goldie takes his clothes off, and he's going to sneak attack, and he's going to go over the glass partition and jump over top on Clocker. But every time you get to the top and his hands are up there, Clocker would whack him across the hands with his stick, and he's bleeding, and the blood's going down the side of the penalty box glass. And then their penalties are up. And what does Goldie do? He challenges Kim to a fight again, and he can't even bend his fingers, so naturally Kimmer beat the crap out of him again.
There's a story about Goldie too. He had that bushy hair.
Oh, 3 layers. Yeah.
And then he had cross eyes. Okay. So we would go eat in a restaurant, a pre-game meal, and people would look at him, okay? And you have to be careful. Goldie would say, "What are you looking at?" "It's okay, Goldie. It's okay. It's okay." He was going to fight people in the restaurant. That's how he was, I mean, he was crazy, man, And I never thought he was that good of a fighter, George. What do you think?
No, we always had the all ugly team, the ugliest guys in the league, and Goldie was right up there. But when I was selling my book at the Sports Expo in Toronto last November, it was funny. I went to the NHL alumni lunch and I gave a speech, and Ken Reed, the sports guy, was there, and he all of a sudden he said, "Hey, did you ever play against Goldie Goldthorpe?" And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "My first year pro, I'm in Richmond." And I said, I can't remember if he was playing at Tidewater or who. Anyway, I see him bending down. He's playing center, but his head's almost on the ice in the faceoff. And I go, "What the hell is he doing?" And he bends down, and the linesman's going to drop the puck, and Goldie bites his hand. And naturally the puck falls out, and all of us are watching him. and he skates in on, the other end on our goalie on a breakaway, and we know he's half crazy, and then we let him do the breakaway, and then he got suspended for I don't know how many games. Yeah.
Old time hockey. My goodness, that's great. What a great story, guys. That's good stuff.
Andre, who is the one player that you saw the WHA towards the latter ends of the 70s as the teams were transitioning to the NHL? Who was the one player that you thought this guy is going to be a bona fide star in the NHL?
In the WHA?
Yes.
Well, let's face it, I always thought Mark Howe was going to be number one, because you see, the one thing, Mark never wanted to be like Gordy. He wanted to be Mark. Okay. I always said Mark Howe could be in the Hall of Fame as a forward, and he could be in the Hall of Fame as a defenseman. And I said to many people that want to hear me, I said, Bobby Orr was probably second maybe to Bobby Orr as far as the defenseman in hockey. If you look at his plus and minus and the way he skated, the way he played the game, I mean, it was just unbelievable, But, the one, not the WHA, but the one guy I felt that he retired too early because he didn't like the way was played anymore, that we would hear more about it, was Mario Lemieux. Mario to me was probably one of the greatest players ever. And I think that if Mario would have played longer, you would probably not have heard of Gretzky, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about Mario Lemieux.
Yeah.
That's how great he was,
Yeah.
But he said, I don't like that crap, that I don't need this, and he quit.
The one player that I wrote down, Andre, that I thought of was Réal Cloutier, who was an absolute star for the Nordiques, and then it didn't really click for him when he went to the NHL. That's the kind of.
Yeah. I think the length of time that he spent with the Nordiques, I think, hurt him.
Okay.
I think if he would have gone to a different team earlier in his career, because he was a great two-way hockey player, and he could skate, and he's the type of player that you really want on your team right away, But when you play in Quebec, it's tough, and being French, and if you go someplace else, it's even more difficult at that point. I don't think you get accepted as well, to be honest with you. So I think Réal was an awesome hockey player. I don't think he got the credit that he deserved.
Hey, George, you were going to say something?
Well, I know Andre knows how Gordy protected the boys, Mark and Marty. And I got a funny story. We were supposed to go to the Memorial Cup my last year. We set a record for points in Saskatoon, and Medicine Hat Tigers beat us out in the final. It was a big upset. Our record was 48-11-11 in our last year junior. So anyway, the Marlies, Quebec Ramparts, and Medicine Hat are playing in the Memorial Cup, and Mark and Marty are playing for the Marlies. And Medicine Hat was always kind of a rough team. They had Bobby Gassoff, a guy named Jungle Jim McCrimmon. And anyway, in the warm-up, they're trying to intimidate the Marlies, and Jungle Jim and Gassoff are trying to spear the guys. And McCrimmon spears one of the brothers. And Gordy was just coming out of retirement the next year, to play in the WHA. No one knew about it at the time. So after the warm-up was done, Gordy went down to the glass and he said to Jungle Jim, he's got a big red afro. He's probably 6'3", 230 pounds. And he said, Jungle Jim, that wasn't very nice what you did to Marty there, or Mark or Marty, one of the two. So anyway, our captain was playing the next year with the Oilers, and Jungle Jim didn't play that many pro games, but he got called up with the Oilers, and they're playing against, naturally, Houston. So the middle of the game, puck shot in the end. Gordy's going one way at center ice. Jim McCrimmon, that Jungle Jim, skates by him, and Gordy slices half his ear off with a stick. And McCrimmon's just screaming, because it's pretty painful. He's trying to hold his ear on, blood spurting all over the place. And Gordy just looked back at him. He said, Jim, remember the Memorial Cup? That's all he said to him.
Wow.
There's another story with Gordy, and then one time an All-Star game. Before the All-Star game, Mark got hurt. Robbie Fatorek just did something to Mark. So Gordy goes see Mark at the hospital before he goes for the All-Star game. He said, do you need anything? And Mark said, yeah, get that SOB. And Gordy got Robbie Fatorek in an All-Star game. Honest to God, because when I was with the Whalers, there were 4 veterans. There was Davey Keon, Johnny McKenzie, Gordy, and I. Johnny and Davey stuck together because they liked to drink more than Gordy and I on the road. So Gordy and I would go get a bite to eat. And after we ate, we always had to go to the bar where the boys might be, because he had to check on the boys to make sure they were okay. So he took care of the boys their whole career.
Well, you guys, I'll tell you, after when I was playing in a celebrity golf tournament, NHL, in the coast, but in Vancouver, and Glenn Cochran, who André probably knows, we played old numbers together. Glenn was a pretty tough customer anyway.
Yeah.
So we're late, and we go to the first tee, and Gordy comes running up to us, and he's saying, hi, George, hi, Glenn, and we're looking behind us to see if there's someone else by that name, and this is Gordy. But Gordy just wanted to thank Glenn for protecting Mark while he was with the Flyers all those years, because nobody messed with Mark, I guess, when Glenn was around.
No.
Yeah. Well, it's quiet on the panel. The guys are simulating their questions.
Yeah,
they just want us to talk.
We're just soaking it all in, guys.
Yeah,
we're
you
totally
guys,
fanboys over here listening to you guys talk.
I almost want to be like, here, you guys ask each other these questions. And
yeah,
sit here and listen.
Hey, listen, was there any animosity between the two leagues at all? Between like the NHL and the WHA? Was there ever, were you guys like all on the same page, or was there some kind of rivalry, like those guys aren't as good as us, or was it one big like family, when like a alumni without being actually connected?
Andrew, nothing even close to that. And I'll tell you why. Okay. Nothing even close to that. And because the one thing I didn't respect from the players in the NHL when the WHA came about is NHL players would never make that kind of money if it was not for the WHA. WHA opened the wallet to the NHL. That's why the NHL sued the WHA. They didn't want them in the league because they had a monopoly. Okay. So when I hear players in those days, when I heard players down, saying that the league was not good, I just felt like saying, if you were not, listen, Dave Schultz, all those guys in Philadelphia, when they won the cup, they would have been in Quebec City if there was no WHA, because there wouldn't be any room for them, to be honest with you. Okay? So that's why I was very upset with the league. There was no friendship between the two leagues, because I don't think the players in the AHL respected us, to be honest with you, for what we did. They don't understand that, first of all, we did it for our livelihood, number one, but also we made a better livelihood for all the players in hockey. And I wish the players would speak up about that in those days and say, listen, I wouldn't make that kind of money if the WHA was not around, because that's a fact. I mean, everybody in the NHL made more money because of WHA, because the guys would drop league. Hockey is not the same. I don't watch hockey hardly anymore, to be honest with you. The reason is because the guys don't care what they play, no.
George,
they don't.
Ask you that and compound on what André said. Do you feel the same way, George, that André does about guys today?
Oh, yeah, the NHL thought, they're the established league, and, the WHA was inferior. And,
yes.
I think I mentioned my contract. I was the best defenseman my last year in the Western Canada League, 24 drafted. Well, Cleveland's offering me a contract. I'm making $250 a month playing junior, and boathouse, car, 240 for 3 years, 100 to sign. You're talking $400,000 or $500,000, and they wanted to up the offer, except I signed in St. Louis. But that's how crazy, only because of the WHA.
Absolutely.
Otherwise you were just a peon. You had to beg if the NHL was around with all the bosses and everything. Yeah.
I could understand the owners being upset at the WHA, but not the players.
Yeah.
The players should kiss us, to be honest with you, for what we did.
Yeah.
To be honest, but they don't. Their egos wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
Andre, speaking of money, did you have is there a story of you having a bonus check from the Blazers intercepted and taken away to pay for something else?
Not me.
Oh, okay. I read something about they had to pay for a fight song for the team, and you had a $20,000 check that was.
Oh, but that's what they were supposed to give us some money, not just me in particular, but the team.
Okay.
And they use that money for the team song. But it's a better story than that. When George was talking about flying before, when I was playing in San Diego, we had to go. One time we had to fly back east, and we never flew. We always flew commercial. So they pre-board us. They put us in the back of the plane, okay, which is nice. Everybody sings together. And then they bring the meals up. And when they bring the meals up, they start the road before the players. And I said, don't we get a meal? They said, no. The owners had paid less money for tickets with no meals. But they never told us. We had like a 3-hour flight and no meals. And the guys were walking up and down the aisle. Are you going to eat that bun? Are you going to eat this? Are you going to eat that? There's so many good stories about the WHC that you don't get in the NHL.
You guys were asking me about the farm team. So we're in Virginia Beach, Virginia, right? And I think that the only guys that got called up were André Deschamps, myself, maybe Jazio, but we've been around for a couple of years and the team's going down. And so we're telling the rookies and the young guys, listen, you guys, you better get to that drive-through because there's not going to be a lot of money around. So sure enough, after the 7th car, all the veterans were in the first 7 cars. The rookies got their car number 8 and there was no more money. They were bankrupt,
It's crazy. Crazy.
God. That's great.
And then Joe the Crow, another good one and I'm there. He said, you remind me a lot of a guy I had, Pat Price, and he won the best defenseman the year after me in the junior league and, massive contract and all that and the way we played and all that. And then Joe said, I said, yeah, we played junior together and and we didn't have a very tough team. And I could handle myself pretty good. And Crow wanted to rip my contract up. So he always carried a wad of money in his pants all the time. He always had like $300-400, and he started firing money all over the ice. And he said, I'm going to tear your contract up. And I said, Joe, I got a pretty good contract. And I said, if trouble's there, I'll scrap some guy, but I'm not just going to be the goon, that kind of thing. But, the Crow, like I said, we had our battles,
I got to ask both of you guys, when the NHL merged and took a couple of the WHA teams, Quebec, Vancouver, do you think that looking back on it, they should have taken more teams at the time, seeing that what the expansion had, just almost 12 years later where they started taking more expansion teams? Do you think that in that initial closure of the WHA, they should have taken more teams?
I don't think so. I know they paid Cincinnati not to join.
Yeah.
Okay, really, that's a fact.
Because
Okay,
the B got knocked out, or
yeah, they said they only want to take X amount of team, and first of all, they want to protect their. What do you want? They don't want to be they don't want the WHA to overplay the NHL, so. They took the best team that was in the WHA. Basically, they were viable, to be honest with you. Okay, and I take that. And if you look around, the WHA team did pretty good in the NHL.
Yeah, they cherry picked. They basically cherry picked and took the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ed, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you guys like what what would you tell players nowadays? Do you think or do you think that the players nowadays could survive and how in the leagues that you guys played in? I mean,
That's
if
a good
without
question.
the training and the nutrition that they have now, because obviously the nutrition and the training has definitely changed the game for sure.
I don't think the players today approach the game the way we did, to be honest with you. Okay. I think the game is the guys are bigger, they're faster, but they're not as good. I don't think. Okay. The game, one of the reasons I don't watch hockey is it's a freaking jump and chase. Everybody
Coconut.
jump and fucking chase it. That's not hockey, you know. For the fans, that you try to explain to the fans, if you sit down with somebody and want to explain the game, you can't explain it because it's good. You just shake your head back and forth, you know. And I think I don't think the players today they get into the NHL where they're too young and not ready. I don't think, you know, mentally, physically they might be ready, but I don't think mentally they're ready. And it's going to get worse now because they're overpaying the players now. So it's going to get worse.
George, what do you think, sir?
Well, I have a question for Andre because he was, a great scorer, and with the rule changes, which I think are not good, because I think you need the goon, the policeman there, because there's so much stick work in the game nowadays, and I mean, I think they should have made the rinks maybe just a little bit bigger, not European size, to so you didn't have to change the rules. But if you look at the amount of concussions, and Andre will probably attest to this, I never saw hip injuries in my day when I played, and now if you look at every NHL team, it's an epidemic of hip injuries, like the amount of every team's probably got 4 or 5 guys. I know, like Jamie Benn, for example, he has both his hips done already. But the question I was going to ask Andre, because of that and all the stick work that goes on, and dirty shit that doesn't get accounted for because of those rule changes, I don't think Gretzky, I don't know if he could have survived in today's NHL without anybody protecting him.
You beat me, George. You beat me to it because that's what I was exactly what I was going to say. Gretzky and I played the same type of hockey, and we would have a hard time today in today's game.
Yeah,
Gretzky would never come close to the points he got in today's game.
yeah.
I really don't believe that. I wouldn't either. The game has changed too much. Okay,
Yeah.
in those days,
Cheap shots.
everybody cheap shot, and everybody had 1 or 2 Semenkos on their team.
Yeah.
Today, okay, in the old days, nobody touched Gretzky because Semenko was there. Today, Gretzky would get hit like everybody else. I would get hit like everybody else. That's why the game has changed tremendously, to be honest with you. That's a very good point, George, because I really believe that a lot of us, because of the size of the players today and the size of the rink, but they only, George, the reason that they don't have the rink is that bigger because they will lose money. They would have to eliminate seats.
Well, here's the deal, Andre. Back, I guess have to go maybe 20 years ago. Calgary is now the last team to have to get a new building. But if Bettman would have implemented that, I know because I read an article back in Europe in the Herald Tribune in the 80s. It takes like 10,000 seats away to do that. But if you're getting a new building, you build it for that, and you could have made the ice surface, a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But naturally they didn't do that. But to your point there about the goons there, when I played, even in Philadelphia, sure, I'm a defenseman, but I was playing center, left wing, right wing. I played center for Schultze and the boys there, and the puck was round, and I get it back, and the puck was square. And when I played in Edmonton's farm team in Wichita, Kansas, Walt Podubny got hurt, so I played with Billy Bennett, who you might remember, big guy.
Yeah.
and Semenko was my other winger.
Yeah.
And Ace Bailey was our coach, and he called our line the Munsters. So anytime,
Wow.
you know, we went on the ice, the other teams were scared to death, you know, when we stepped on the ice.
You know what's going to be interesting? I want you, what you guys think about it. Now that the NHL is paying like almost like football players' salary now for the players, I wonder how many tickets are going to sell.
Yeah.
How many people can afford to go to games anymore? Because you talk, you know, in football you play 14, 16 games, whatever it is. In hockey, you play 80 games.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. 40 home games.
84
And I'll
games
tell
now.
you, the teams that don't win, you're going to see a lot of empty seats.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess corporate is so large nowadays.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to ask you guys, because obviously myself, Derek, and Andy, we never played at the level that you guys did. So I think that coming from us, from fans, the energy in the building is different. And you guys being down on the ice, you guys could feel that difference of the energy in the building when you guys would step out on the ice. And I can say that for myself, when I've gone to games, not so much recently, but when I lived in Tampa, the energy was just a little bit different than what it was in the old Boston Garden, or even in the, when it was the Fleet Center, and now it's the new Boston Garden. It has a different energy to it. And how did that affect you guys, like with the energy on the ice, I guess?
Well, that's a very good point you bring up, because see, when George and I were playing, there were hockey fans that came to the game. Now, most of the fans that sit downstairs, their tickets are given away by companies. They don't care about the game. They just it's a social event for them. We had Booster Club. They don't have Booster Club anymore because the Booster Club can't afford to go to games. I remember with the Flyers, we used to go to a meeting once a month. The Booster Club had a meeting. They would invite us to go speak to them. We always went. These people didn't take vacation in the summer so they could have money to buy their season tickets. That's all done. So the hockey fans that you see at the games now, I really don't believe they're hockey fans. They're tickets that have been given to them by the big corporation, because they don't go. They just want to get some business from these people and say, thank you very much.
Andre, you know where the real hockey fans are? They do podcasts now and talk to real hockey players.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, you were asking you guys about the old buildings, like Chicago Stadium and Montreal Forum, the ambiance and the tradition that those
you could
old
smell it.
buildings had, is amazing. The other thing, I'll throw this at Andre. I always felt personally that when I played against the Nordiques, that the crowd in Quebec City was the best dressed crowd.
Oh my God, yes. And Montreal.
Yeah, in Montreal. But I mean, people in suits and everybody dressed up like
they were going to church.
Well, I'm from Quebec, and I tell people, even the girls that are not that great looking are great looking girls because of the way they dress. I'll tell you, you won't see anybody a girl that doesn't have matching stuff on her. All the girls are beautiful the way they keep themselves.
And Andre, I remember the Renaissance discotheque. You remember that one?
Yeah.
That was quite because when I was in Philly, we had to play 2 exhibition games against the Nordiques NHL thing. And I remember we were there for a week in the Chateau Frontenac. And I'll tell you that Renaissance, we were there every night,
Nice.
So I got to ask both of you guys. So as noted on the show many times, huge Flyers fan, right? Tough being a Flyers fan in the Boston area growing up. But speaking of old barns, I can remember going once in a blue moon. We would drive down to Philly back in the day with the Spectrum, and been to the Boston Garden many times, the old Boston Garden, and it had its nuances. It always was hot in there. There was always mice running around, peanut shells. You go to the Spectrum, and I can remember walking in there, not just as a fan, but every time I went, the energy in that building was different. It was almost like the building would sweat, like it would have like a glaze of like a like it needed a dehumidifier at all times. There was just like a special buzz to that crowd. We all know that the people are different there, which we love, but it just seems like there's certain buildings like Chicago Stadium, Boston Garden, the old Spectrum. They just had that thing that you can't explain. And where you go, guys had both played there. You know that energy that I'm talking about. That you felt it as a fan. You felt it being amongst the crowd, and I just can't imagine like the players feeling that because it vibrates in these places, and that's what's missing in hockey too.
Oh, it is missing. There's no doubt about it. And the reason it's missing, and George, I'm sure will agree with me, the reason it's missing is because you don't have involvement anymore from the players with the fans like they did when George and I played. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, we were talking about the Booster Club and everything else. I mean, when I played for the Flyers, every team I played with, even in Chicago, I was looking forward to go to the game because I knew there would be 20,000 people there, 25 that would support us, and they were hot. They were good fans too, okay? But the game was different too. Don't forget, the game was different. So in a way, I blame the NHL and I blame the players for today's the way it is. I don't think the players today go to a game that doesn't matter if it's a Spectrum or any place else and say, oh, this is a special place, because it's all about money. It's all about money. It's not about the game anymore. The player, when I got traded to the Blackhawks, when I went to the Flyers, I thought I was going to play my whole career with the Flyers. When I went to Chicago, I gave it one more shot. I said, maybe I'll end up in Chicago. Then I said, this is not it. Okay. Now it's even worse. The players, they don't care what they play. They want to know how much are you going to give me? And when Jordan and I played, whatever team we played on, we give 120% every game. They don't today. They don't. I really don't think they do. Okay? Because their characters are different. The players are, they had success in junior. They were giving money in the pros that they didn't deserve until they proved themselves. What I'm afraid of is, if you notice now, they give all the guys like 5-6 year contract. What's going to happen if the guy is a flunk after a couple of years? They won't be able to trade him because he makes too much money.
And they're going to they eat it on the salary cap if they, if they buy him out. But like what you said, Andre, nowadays, not even the superstars, but it doesn't matter. You approach an NHL team and you want to go down to have a dressing room pass or get this or that. It's like Fort Knox. Like there's no interaction. Like you can't get close to the team or the players, and you lose that with that, like you said, with the fans.
Did you find that when you guys played during that era that more of the teams were all on the same page with being fan friendly, and like it was very rare for a player not to interact with the fans back then?
Well, don't forget, when George and I played, I would see all the rinks, or most of the rinks, before and after the game, you have to walk where the fans are. Now the players go different exit. They don't even go where the fans are. Okay? And the thing that changed a lot, when I was playing, I used to sign autographs in the warm-up because the glass was low. Then they raised the glass up. Okay? Now the people can get autographed because the glass is too high. Things like that makes a big difference.
Don't forget the net to protect everybody now. I mean, I remember going to my first professional hockey game, and it says, keep your eyes on the playing surface at all times. Mm-hmm. And now you have the safety net that's there. And I mean, and there was the tragic incident that happened in Winnipeg over 25 years ago. But that was one instance. But when you go to games now, there's a lot of people there face to face talking to each other. They're not watching what's going on down on the ice surface, and we were, myself and Andy, Derek wasn't available that day, but we were very lucky to talk to Bill Clement, and Bill said to us that the game is very antiseptic now. It's very.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But like what Andre said, it's all about the almighty dollar in the whole in everything. You go to the bank nowadays, you don't talk to a teller, and then that gets magnified in professional sports. and the amount of money that's floating around, and the personal contact is gone.
Yeah. I'm going to circle back with a question to both you guys. George, I'm going to start with you first. Do you think that the legislation of getting rid of fighting out of hockey now is a good idea? And I'm going to start with you first, George, on that.
Oh, it's not a good idea, and also you can't hold a player up. Those are some of the changes they made, and that's why the guys are skating Mach 2 speed. And when a guy does get hit, he really gets hit. Like, he gets cranked when he goes in the boards, and there's just too many liberties taken with. It doesn't matter who. Before, back in the day, you don't take runs at the superstar. You're going to pay the price, and now it's just like open season. So I totally disagree with getting rid of the policeman, because he has a place in the game.
I agree with George. I don't think they should take fighting out of hockey. The only thing I think they should do, though, the reason I watch hockey is because now if you hit somebody legally, the other team's going to go after you. Okay? Yeah. To me, if you hit somebody, a clean hit, even if the guy gets hurt, if it's a clean hit, then whoever comes after you should get kicked out of the game. Not get a 5, get kicked out of the game. You might have two guys fighting each other instead of having somebody fighting for somebody because he fell on the ice, basically. I mean, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, André. I see that all the time. And the other thing is, too, these cheap shots. Like, let's say you use the example of Austin Matthews when Gudas got him in Toronto there. Well, I believe he should be out the same length of time that Matthews is
I
out.
agree completely with that. Yes.
Yeah. The penalties, it's a joke to suspend 3 games when you've gone after the other team's superstar and put him out for the rest of the season, Yep.
Derek, how about we start winding it up and get one last question for our favorite guests?
Gentlemen, it's been an honor. Really, that was a pleasure hearing some of those stories. Although the WHA started before I was born, 1 year, I'm a big fan. I love going back in the history. I love everything about it. I've got books, DVDs, and I have one really special piece of memorabilia that I wanted to show you that I have. Then I would like to ask you, gentlemen, if you have something from your WHA days that really means a lot to you. And for me,
Miami Screaming Eagles.
Yes, sir.
Is that what it is?
Yes,
that's an awesome logo.
Yes, a childhood friend of mine who lives in Florida gave this to me as a military retirement gift, and it's just amazing because, André, from what I see, they never were going to be a team. They were just kind of a showboat for Dennis Murphy to say, "Oh, look, we could have a team in Florida," but they didn't even have a rink.
No, but Dennis was a great promoter, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. So do you guys have a piece of memorabilia from the WHA that you still have from your playing days?
No, to be honest with you, I played on so many teams. It's hard to keep something from one team in particular. Okay. The only thing that to me that means a lot to me is, I think in pro hockey, NHL and WHA, I think there's only 6 players that had over 100 assists in one season.
Yep.
And to me, as a center, I scored 50 goals 1 year, and my 106 assists was much better than the 50 goals I scored, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Because to me, I as a playmaker, I want my wing. If my wingers do well, I'm going to do well. It's up to me to make them look good. It's not up to them to make me look good.
Yep.
So to me, the 106 assists in one season with the way, that's when I won the scoring title. Meant a lot to me.
Do you have, I was going to ask you if you have, they're called the Bill Hunters, which are essentially the Art Ross trophies. Do you have those trophies still from you leading the league in scoring?
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. I like it. Very
Should have brought him on the podcast.
Yeah. And George, do you have anything from your WHA days?
Oh, well, mine was short. Andre might want to know, I played with the Flin Flon Bombers too at one time in junior. So they had a reunion of like 50 years or something like that. So, and they wanted you to list all the teams when you started junior and the pro. And I think I was the record holder at 26 teams. So, yeah, like I played for, yeah, well, especially in Europe, I played for a lot of teams. I still have a Calgary Cowboy puck, and I probably still have that contract that Joe the Crow and I signed. And
Nice. Nice.
yeah, and then naturally the pictures from the beach and all that, they're collector items.
Well, some of those pictures can't be released to the public, can they, George?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Love it. Well, thanks again, guys. Thank you. That's all I have, Andy. Thank you.
So, I'm a little disappointed. I got to say that I thought your favorite piece of hockey memorabilia you were going to mention was your 1973 podcast jerseys, but that's okay. We'll let that one go. We'll let that one go.
It certainly is.
Come on now.
So,
Andre, I turned pro in 73, and they interviewed me on my 73rd birthday.
That's right.
So it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Special memory. And before I ask my final question, I want to tell everybody that I'm so, every time I do these, the kid in me comes out. I love talking to you guys. We could do this multiple times. Whether it's technical difficulties or not before the show, it's still, I love doing this stuff because it's.
Well, no, I think I heard that Andre was in makeup. That's why he was late for the appearance. Yeah.
Well, we had to sign the contract before he came on, so we had to get all the.
Negotiate. You had to negotiate, and Andre's a shrewd negotiator.
Yeah. He admitted he was his own agent, so we worked all that out.
That's right.
The contract's all in French, so I just signed it. So I don't know what I signed.
Those are the best ones, the blind contracts.
I do that all the time. My final question is always a good one about what's your. I asked last time when you guys were on what's your the one thing that defined your playing career, and this time I want to ask if either one of you could go back to your young self that's starting their pro career, what advice would you give them if you could go back and say one thing to your young self before they start their hockey career? What would it be?
It's hard because they won't listen. I would say, because anybody that plays junior feel that they should be playing pro. Okay, if they play junior B, they feel they should play junior A. And I wish that there were better coaching at the youth level for the kids to prepare them for their hockey career, because I think coaching is missing at the youth level. The coaches are afraid to tell the kids what they need to work on because they're afraid the parents might get mad at them. So I don't blame the kids, to be honest with you. I blame the youth programs. I don't think most of the youth programs get the kids ready for the next level they're gonna play. I tell people all the time, they ask me all the time, what's your best souvenir in hockey? My best souvenir in hockey is when I played midget in my own town. We won 3 midget championships in a row. We were not supposed to win one. They said we're lucky. Then we won 3 in a row. I have the trophy at my house. In my hometown, they named a rink after me. They just renovated the rink. They put $3 million into the rink with my name on it. To me, that's more important than anything I've accomplished in the NHL and the WHA.
Awesome.
It's great. It's great.
George?
Well, I just think that, if you play the game the right way, that's how you earn respect in the game. And as far as the minor hockey, I know a friend of mine, Greg Holst, I don't know if Andre remembers him. He was rookie of the year in the American League one year. He was the god of Austrian hockey later, but he was big in coaching all over. And he told me Hockey Canada, I want to say this is in the 90s somewhere, they actually implemented a thing where they wanted one parent to stay with the kids at the rink during practice, which I think is a disaster. I think Andre probably the same way. Our parents never hung at the rink and watched. And that's the biggest problem in hockey is these parents, because everyone thinks their kids can play in the NHL instead of just letting the kids play, have fun. the cream of the crop always comes out later. But this thing about, saying a parent had to stay at the rink was not good, because that's where all the problems take place. Let the coach, and there can be a lot better coaching, but the parents are a big problem in minor hockey.
It is, and one of the big problem with the parents, it's more important for them to have a kid playing on the AA team, AAA team, than play at the A team where he belongs.
Yeah.
Very true. From my
hockey parent himself, Andy.
Yep. It's you guys are spot on with that. I see it all the time. We could do a whole podcast on that. Believe me, we could do a whole podcast just on that. Yep.
Well, the other thing, Andy, like, I'd like to see a statistic, because when André and I played, there were a lot more Canadians in the game. But now with the Americans, they're stronger, much stronger. Europeans, the percentage of how many guys make it out of Canada, has I'm sure gotten lower.
It's very small. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree completely.
Yep. Here's one for you folks. This was the first year ever.
Are we getting paid extra for that, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Are we getting paid extra for that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That was
this is the first year that American-born goaltenders had more minutes played in a single season than Canadian-born goaltenders.
Wow.
That's, yeah. And Andre, being from Quebec, that, you go back to the legendary, Dan Bouchard, Patrick Waugh, you can go. So we're missing that big French.
Oh, you're missing Gilles Gratton.
Yeah.
Andre would know. I heard he was a hell of a talent. He was just maybe a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Great mask, let's just say.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So fellas, we're gonna wrap this up on a Friday night. Listen, I'm very happy to get you guys on again. Hats off to everybody for showing up to do this deep dive, and hopefully the first in many, with André and George coming on again, both two-time guests now. And there's a Flyers jersey that I'm pointing at right here in the corner. I've had forever, that I've gotten many signatures on of Flyers players, and one day I'm going to get both you guys on this jersey to hang up in the studio over here at the 1973 podcast. So fellas, I want to say thank you so much from the guys, and thank you for spending a Friday night with us again, and hope to get you guys on again, and we'll talk some more old school hockey, and have some fun.
It was
Thank
great.
you so much. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
You guys, if I go on again, I'm going to go into makeup just like Andre.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to wait for your birthday, though, George. You can't big time us anymore.
That's right.
Once you've been on twice, you're already part of the show. You know that. You go from friend of the show to part of the show. That's how it is. Yeah. And you got to wear the jersey.
Or dinosaur of the show.
Never. No, that's never.